This is part 2 of my conversation with Katrina. You can catch the first half of our conversation already on my channel, or I'll put the link in the description box below. So please stay tuned for this part of the video. Enjoy part 2 of this conversation. You mentioned obviously at the start, you're from England, you've been in Australia. How have you found the move, like in the topic of grief as well, I guess, but different forms of grief now, I guess, like moving from different countries, having to restart your life in a sense, and then how has this affected you, I guess? Like you mentioned, only 2-3 years ago, you started speaking about it. You've been here for 12 plus-ish months. So how has that, I guess, positively impacted you?
I think the move has been the best thing that I've ever done. Moving to the other side of the world is a big deal, and sometimes I don't give me or my partner enough credit for the fact that we've moved here and we don't have family, we don't have friends here. We literally came and knew no one. As it turns out, my partner does have some very distant relatives here, which we've been able to meet, but we didn't have anybody that we knew. So we were coming and we were having to form a whole new support network, and that in itself has been a challenge. I was required to actually actively go out and make friends, which has never been something that I've found easy. I've always been quite a reserved, shy person. I've always found it quite hard. I always get like in my head quite a lot, and I've just found it really, really difficult. And therefore, for that reason, I've always grown up with the same friends. I'm very lucky to say that back home, I've got friends that I've had since primary school, and we kind of grew up together, and my partner was the same. So moving countries, let alone to the other side of the world, was always going to be a challenge, but it really did allow me to come into my own. So it made me realize that I am more capable than I thought I was, definitely more capable than I thought I was. And it also helped me to realize that people do want to know me for me. So when you've lived in a place your whole life, the same place, you kind of stay within the boundaries, or at least I was staying within the boundaries of what other people were setting for me, because that's who they'd known me for and how they'd known me for my whole life. I had been the shy, quiet girl that didn't really say much, didn't say boo to a goose, and I never really voiced my opinions. And it got to a point back home where I really was starting to feel quite down about it, because people would say what they would like to me without thinking that I would respond or react. And that could get quite hurtful at some times. And when I moved here, I realized that that doesn't have to be the case, that I can still have my opinions, I can still share my truth, and people will still like me. There will be people that don't like it, but that's with everything in life, you can't please everybody. I read a quote this morning that said, you can't be everybody's cup of tea, because then you would be a mug. And I thought, that's brilliant. I really like that analogy, especially because I like drinking tea. So you can't be everybody's cup of tea. So moving here allowed me to see that, and it allowed me to create friendships with people like you and with so many others that are on a completely different level, and I've made these friendships that are more a reflection of who I am rather than who I used to be. And I really, really like that. It has been challenging, though. Moving to the other side of the world and then a global pandemic obviously isn't going to be easy. And unfortunately, in March, I did lose my job and I was without work for 6 months. So for that time, it was very, very difficult for me, because I was missing my friends, I was missing my family. I couldn't go out and meet new people and have that social aspect either. I couldn't see Australia, which is the reason that we're here, because we want to explore more of Australia. I didn't have a distraction. And that's really when I decided to start my podcast and start doing more things like this, because it allowed me to speak on a topic that was so relevant for so many, because not only had people experienced, the hardships of a global pandemic, such as being stuck inside, but with that comes so many feelings of loss and grief in itself. People losing jobs, people losing friends, people having to leave certain countries, people not having the flexibility to do things that they need to do for their own mental health, and that can all come back to grief. So I thought, what a perfect time for me to be able to openly share, and share at a time when it's so needed. So it's been a real learning curve. It's not been the smooth sailing adventure that we thought it was going to be at all, but whenever is life that way. And it really has been a blessing. It really has been a blessing, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I think it's been absolutely incredible for my growth, and quite often we can't see the growth until it's happened. So I
Yeah.
definitely was in the moment of, I'm so stuck, oh my god, my life. And then, now I've reached a point where I can see that growth, and how important it's been for me. So yeah.
That's amazing. And like you said, it was kind of, the worst, not the worst circumstances, but like you said, move to another country, global pandemic, get stuck inside. But that was your chance to then kind of dig deep and be like, you know what? I could sit here being a sad sack and not having anything to do, or you could use your time wisely and try to create what you love. And
Yeah.
and I have loved watching you grow during this time as well. I know that, we've only known each other for a few months. Oh, longer than that now, like 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months feels longer.
Yeah, and I think both of us as well. I know, like, for me, it's been a bit of a, a wavy ride, let's just say.
Yeah, ride those waves.
um, Yeah, definitely. But like you just said, nothing in life comes easy. And that's the beauty of life, though. And even referencing earlier on, you take the good with the bad, and, you roll with those punches sometimes, and you come out the other side and you can see what you've been through, and you can be grateful for those opportunities in the long run, although they might not look like it at the time. Makes you more compassionate and gives more empathy to others that may be going through that hard time. And I wouldn't be able to relate to you if I wasn't going through a similar situation, with my sister being on the other side of the world as well, and speaking with her, and she's trying to find work and she's struggling, and being the older sibling, trying to be the reassurer, trying to do those things. And I know that you're a younger sibling, so I could imagine that you'd be the same with your older sibling. And so it's funny how it's different roles, but yeah, it's people can find a lot of things to relate to, even in the smallest of circumstances, which I love, because like you said as well, it means that you're finding people that are more a reflection of yourself, of who you want to be now, not who you were. And a quote that I love is that some people are compatible with an expired version of yourself. So
Yeah.
all those friends that you had through high school, all those friends that you had growing up when you're the rebel, or when you were down in the dumps and you're going through that depression stage and you're using alcohol and doing all those things to try and suppress your emotion, you're not that person anymore.
Yeah.
So sometimes the friends that you made during that time expect you to be that way still, or try to keep you in that, period. And it's okay to still have those friendships, but in the distance. You don't have to be best friends with them. You don't have to keep that obligation to them because you've known them for 10 years. It's okay that you're changing and you're evolving, because we all do as a human species. We all grow, we all evolve. But to do it compassionately and nicely and be like, hey, I love you, I appreciate you, but I need to go on this path and this journey right now. If you can support me, that's great. But if not, I understand. I know that you've only got your own journey to go on. And, to kind of tie that into the grief world as well, I think it's very similar to, you have your own path and your own journey. And as you mentioned, like, if your friends can at least just say, hey, I'm here for you if you need me, rather than just being silent, that's a huge thing. That I didn't realize, to be quite frank. Sometimes I'd be that person that'd be like, oh, this is too uncomfortable for me. I don't really want to say anything. I don't know this person well enough to say anything. But compassion can go a really, really, really long way. And I think that's something that everyone needs a little reminder in. Sometimes they get so swept up in themselves,
Yeah, compassion
that
is
it doesn't.
incredibly important. Compassion is probably one of my top values in life, and it's something that I encourage people to have, not just for others but also for themselves. Compassion for their own emotions, compassions for their own experiences. Don't be so hard on yourself. We're so hard on ourselves these days. Just have a little bit of compassion. we often find it a lot easier to show compassion towards others. We often find it a lot easier to be kinder to others, but we should also be able to do that to ourselves. We should also be able to feel that compassion for ourselves and feel that kindness for ourselves. So it's just, I love the word compassion. Every time I hear it, it makes me all warm.
Definitely. It pays, like, it doesn't cost anything to be kind, you know. And I think one thing that I've learned along the way is that it doesn't take any time out of my day to smile at someone. You know, it doesn't make my life worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, to have more people that can do those things, just to take a second out of their day to do something kind for someone else. It doesn't, be kind on yourself. You know, if you don't feel like doing something that day, don't feel guilty for it. If you want to eat some chocolate, don't feel guilty for it. You know, it's
Yeah, and if you want to be
yeah,
healthy, don't feel guilty for that
yeah,
either. If you want to eat a salad and you're with your friends and they're like, "Oh my God, why are you getting a salad? Get some chips." Don't feel guilty for the fact you want a salad. Like, do what feels right for you in all the moments, in all aspects of your life. And it can get very, you know, it's easy for me to sit here and say that, and it's easy for you to sit there and say that, but actually practicing it can be a whole different situation, and it can be tricky. But give yourself that compassion. Keep compassion at the forefront of your mind, and you'll slowly find ways that you're able to do that. So
yeah. No, I love that so much. And I think it's such a good note to end on. Thank you so much, Katrina. I appreciate your time. I've learnt so much today. Now, for those who want to get to know you more and to see all your good work, where can they find you?
over on Instagram. So pretty much over on Instagram, Katrina LP Weller. I'm sure Alanna will pop it in the notes. So feel free to follow along and send me a message if you would like. You can also listen to my podcast, Grow with Grief, on all your streaming platforms. So love to hear from you all. I'm always open for a griefy chat or just a normal chat. Just a normal chat's fine too.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for your time today. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon anyway.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching today. Please like, subscribe, comment, let me know how you found this video. Let me know what information you got from this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!